The Iraq War is coming to an end as of late 2007. President Bush has declared victory, and reconstruction efforts are underway. A pipeline construction site in the midst of the Iraqi desert is where Sergeant Matthews and his spotter Sergeant Isaac are dispatched. Before sending fresh builders, they must now discover the murderer of all the Americans working at the construction site. 20 hours pass with nothing occurring as the soldiers hide behind some shrubs and stones to observe the scene in the waning sunlight. Matthew starts to get impatient and believes there are no more Iraqi soldiers. He also believes that, based on the dead that are dispersed throughout the area, the place must have been attacked by a squad that fled after accomplishing their task. Isaac points out that there are no indications of a large group passing through this area and that, given that all the employees were killed by headshots, this may have been the work of Juba, a renowned and skilled Iraqi sniper. But according to Matthews, no one could possibly kill this many people in less than a minute. After asking Isaac to stand in for him, Matthews eventually becomes impatient and descends to take a closer look at the area. Matthews taunts Isaac for not changing his scope sooner when he complains that it is getting hazy, but this particular scope is significant to Isaac because it belonged to a deceased colleague. When Isaac verifies that everyone was killed by perfect headshots, Matthews starts to believe Isaac's theory and moves from corpse to body seeking for signs. While Isaac urges him to go, he walks to the center of the scene to assess the potential direction of the gunfire. Suddenly, a shot is heard, and Matthews collapses to the ground in excruciating abdominal pain. Isaac rushes down in a zigzag motion to dodge any oncoming bullets in his desperation to save his friend, but just as he is about to reach Matthews, he is hit in the leg. Matthews must stay behind while Isaac runs to shelter behind a crumbling wall. Matthews, who is hurt but still alive, makes contact with Isaac and instructs them to phone the base and request reinforcements. Isaac first discovers how bad his leg wound is, so he ties a belt around it to halt the flow. The sniper had blasted the antenna, so when he grabbed his radio bag to try to contact the base, he discovered he had no signal. When Isaac cautions Matthews that the sniper will detect any movement and shot him again, Matthews ignores him and asks him to locate the assailant so that he may aim at him. When Isaac begins using his knife to cut a hole in the wall for the scope, some boulders fall and cut his hand. After making another attempt to grab his firearm, Matthews collapses from blood loss. With much pain, Isaac removes the bullet from his leg with a blade so he won't die like his companion. He then bandages the wound and succumbs to his injuries. Later, Isaac is startled awake by an odd sound emanating from his earpiece. Isaac quickly starts reporting the issue and pleading for medical supplies when it turns out to be a base officer. He starts to feel skeptical though, as the officer starts asking him a lot of odd questions and, most significantly, demands that he either tell them exactly where he is or stand up and shoot in the air, saying that this is necessary for the helicopters to drop the supplies precisely. When Isaac points out that this is against procedure and will put him in danger, he recognizes that the man's accent is not American and that doing so will put him in danger. This is Juba the sniper, who tried to construct a trap by hacking into the radio frequencies. When Isaac realizes it's a ruse and calls him out on it, Juba doesn't just end the call. Instead, he starts to interrogate Isaac, saying he wants to get to know him better. Isaac tries the radio once more, but it remains inoperative. When Isaac refuses to respond to Juba's ridiculous questions, Juba threatens to shoot Matthews again, which is dangerous because there's a chance he's still alive. In order to calculate the bullet trajectory and determine the potential position of the sniper, Isaac agrees to talk for a bit and asks Juba to go first. He then starts outlining the place on the soil. Juba claims to be a typical Iraqi citizen who only wants to defend his nation. Juba requests information about Isaac's family, but Isaac objects that it is too private. Isaac then mocks Juba's justification, claiming that by bringing in schools, pipelines, and other facilities that will strengthen the local economy, he is essentially murdering the people who are attempting to improve the nation. Juba laughs at this and says that eventually the money generated here would be sent back to the USA. Juba keeps prodding Isaac with inquiries as time goes on, but Isaac refuses to provide any private information, prompting Juba to once more threaten to shoot Matthews. Isaac, though, is no longer convinced by him. Juba, citing Matthews' earlier taunt, tells Isaac the name of the former owner of the scope and that he is deceased to demonstrate his threat. This implies that since their arrival, Juba has been listening in on their chats. Isaac pulls one of the dead men's bodies to the edge of the wall after noticing through his scope that one of them had a radio with him. However, Not even with the aid of a piece of wood would he be able to reach it without coming into contact with the living. Next, Isaac tries to sip some water from his bottle but discovers that it is empty due to a hole that has been intentionally made in it, as Juba verifies. He also acknowledges that he did not miss any bullets, having deliberately shot Isaac's leg, antenna, and bottle to trap him and cause a lingering death that he will enjoy hearing over the communicator. When Isaac discovers the bullet he removed from his leg, he examines it more carefully and starts inferring the type of weapon Juba is using by asking some cunning questions. He also refers to Juba as a terrorist, which causes Juba to chuckle once again as he emphasizes that it is the Americans who are invading illegally and with weapons ready to kill people. Isaac performs further calculations and checks via his scope as Juba speaks in order to get to the realization that Juba is concealed behind a sizable heap of garbage. This man is undoubtedly a professional because he has worked in such demanding circumstances for a considerable amount of time, not to mention the intense heat. Juba, though, asserts once more that he is an ordinary Iraqi man and denies being the renowned sniper. Isaac assumes Juba is a former US Army commander who betrayed them based on his accent, but Juba dismisses this as well and says he only kills individuals who attack him first. In exchange, Isaac tells the tale of how he first met his childhood best buddy and how the two of them eventually enrolled as adults. Isaac soon experiences the harsh effects of dehydration and weariness, and collapses to the ground as Juba threatens to staple his tongue to his chest. Next, Isaac tries to deceive Juba by covering his gun with a jacket and helmet and waving it above the wall, but Juba is not duped. Isaac can no longer shield his head because the helmet has fallen and is now on the opposite side of the wall. The sniping point is such a careless error that it makes him cry. As more time goes by, Isaac's desperation grows to the point that he tries to take a chance. He rushes towards a body on the ground, snatches his backpack and radio, and then retreats to the wall while dodging all the shots Juba fires at him right away. Isaac eagerly gulps down the water and candies he discovers in the bag, but this radio is also broken. Juba also penalizes him by firing towards the wall and severely damages his scoper as a result of his risk. Isaac detects the noise from his earpiece and understands it is Matthews, who is still alive at that moment. Matthews pulls out a piece of metal to use as a tool to use in order to look at the mound of trash as soon as Isaac screams the position of the sniper at him. Isaac keeps the sniper busy by engaging in small chat as Matthews goes incredibly slowly to get his gun, and he discovers that Juba was once a teacher in Baghdad. He determined to get revenge when one of his classmates was murdered during an American strike. The remains of that school are what Isaac is hiding behind. After Isaac refuses to respond, Juba threatens to shoot Matthews once more while still carrying the broken scope. Isaac admits, in a desperate attempt to rescue him, that he retains the scope in honor of his old buddy, who passed away as a result of a mistake Isaac committed, and he still feels bad about it. While Isaac fires to make it appear as though the noise is coming from him, Matthews positions his weapon and points it blindly towards the garbage pile. He then shoots at it with all the ammunition he has. Juba unexpectedly shoots Matthews back, striking him square in the shoulder as he prepares to reload. Isaac instructs Matthews to crawl toward him so they can both hide behind the wall, but when Isaac approaches the edge to assist, Juba accidentally shoots Matthews in the head. After having to see his demise, Isaac suddenly collapses and declares that he just wants to go home. Isaac is dubious when Juba says that if he truly wants to go, he won't shoot him. Later, Juba queries Isaac about his continued presence there despite the war's conclusion. After pausing for a while, Isaac responds, "I'm here because I killed my old friend." It turns out that when attempting to kill an enemy, he accidentally shot his prior sniper partner, and Isaac has been lying to everyone by claiming that his comrade was murdered by the bad guys. Isaac runs to check the signal when he hears some noise coming from the radio and is delighted to hear discussions taking place. His joy, however, is fleeting since although being able to hear voices, he is unable to transmit any messages due to the harm the radio sustained. Juba abruptly enters the discussion Isaac is hearing, and the guy calls out Isaac's name to plead for assistance. Finally, Isaac understands that Juba has been hacking American communications all along, posing as a soldier in need of assistance to draw backup squads to the region, murder them all quickly due to the element of surprise. Without success, Isaac tries to pause the dialogue. Later, Isaac awakens to the agonizing sensation of a crow picking at the incision on his thigh. Given that even the birds believe Matthews is already dead, Isaac decides to take a chance, and used some rope and a stick to fetch Matthew's weapon before firing it towards the garbage heap. Helicopters show up in the region at the precise moment and expose Isaac's position without realizing this is a trap. Isaac knocks the wall down in an effort to protect the approaching soldiers, but in doing so, he creates a dust mist that makes it difficult for Juba to find Isaac. Without knowing if he has struck his objective or not, Isaac starts shooting at the rubbish heap. When Isaac eventually decides to get up from his position to find out, he is astonished to see Juba passing up the opportunity to retaliate. Because of this, Isaac thinks he has successfully murdered Juba. Isaac receives prompt medical assistance as soon as the helicopters arrive and quickly transport him away on a stretcher. Isaac attempts to inform them about Juba, but the noise from the helicopters lifting off prevents him from being heard. Juba suddenly begins firing at them, killing the medical personnel one by one before also injuring the pilot. Isaac is killed instantaneously as the chopper suddenly descends and falls to the ground, allowing Juba to remain true to his claim that Isaac had not actually been shot. Then Juba breaches American lines once more while posing as an American soldier to seduce his newest group of captives.